Let me start with a story which will give you a clarity on how does one pay attention to details. This happened 15 years ago when I was stationed in Delhi working for a multinational. Our global chief was visiting Delhi for a day. Obviously, he was flying in his private jet, and I was given the task of organizing customer meetings, site visits, as well as address to the employees, which included from picking him up at the airport and end of the day dropping him back. While scheduling the meetings and site visits was relatively an easy task, moving in the traffic from one place to other at the same time, not being early or late, was a big challenge. In fact, it had to work to clock precision. We had to do time and motion study by actually going in the car from point to point on at least to 3 to 4 working days, calculate the mean time, and schedule the complete itinerary. This also included selecting right cars. There was a fleet of 4 cars and drivers, and briefing them on the importance of following the traffic safety rules, not honking unnecessarily, maintaining the right speed, etc. Attention to detail suggests an ability to maintain high accuracy and thoroughness when executing the tasks. These skills are important for sustained productivity and efficiency. Hence, many companies include them as requirements for new employees. How one applies his or her mind while executing a task by taking utmost care. The best example here would be of a pilot who intensely concentrates when he or she is landing an aircraft and is immune to distraction. How do you describe attention to details in a job description? Attention to details is your ability to efficiently and allocate your cognitive resources to achieve thoroughness and accuracy when accomplishing tasks, no matter how small or large. Attention to detail skills allows you to improve your workplace productivity, efficiency, and performance. What type of skill is attention to detail? Being detail oriented is ensuring you have a complete understanding of task you are working on. Example, I use a variety of tools and strategies to make sure I stay on task during projects. I keep my calendar up to date with important due dates and alerts and meetings to make sure I hit all my milestones. So, what sets detail oriented people apart? One, they tend to be observant. It's all too easy to gloss over the small parts when you're trying to see a bigger picture. But it's important to remember that every big picture is composed of many small moving parts and systems. As an example, consider you want to buy a car from a friend. You go look at the car and it seems to be in great conditions, clean, polished, no rust. The car itself is the big picture, but it is composed of many smaller parts and systems that may indicate there is a problem with the big picture. Does it start right up? Are there any leaks in any fluids? Any belt squealing? Is the exhaust louder than it should be? Does the engine sound good? A detail oriented person is likely to be more interested in smaller parts and systems than makeup of the entire car. Two, they tend to be perfectionist. The best is the enemy of good. This is what Voltaire said. A detail oriented person can easily get swamped in trying to make the smaller parts of their bigger picture perfect. The problem is that nothing is ever perfect. You can ask any artist what they feel they could improve about a piece of their work, and they will likely be able to rattle off at least a few things that they wished they had tweaked or polished more. One must strive to avoid get swamped in the pursuit of perfection. Otherwise, nothing ever gets accomplished. At some point, one needs to decide that they are done with whatever they are working on and let it go out in the world. 3. They tend to be organized. Organization is an important part of efficiency of many smaller moving parts. A detail oriented person is likely to be an organized person in some, if not all, facets of their life. Perhaps the work areas are meticulously cleaned and organized so that they can find exactly what they need when they need it. But their home may be cluttered in a way that seems to be out of character. 4. They tend to be efficient. Efficiency about making the smaller parts move consistently towards the overall goal. Detail oriented people are often drawn to efficiency because of their attention and understanding of smaller parts. They can often see patterns or routes that big picture thinkers may overlook due to lack of familiarity with the smaller parts. That doesn't mean that all picture thinkers don't understand the smaller parts of the big picture, but they may find themselves forgetting about them more often than the detailed person because their focus encompasses the larger scope. 5. They tend to be better at understanding causes rather than just witnessing effects. The outcome of thing tends to be a process of many smaller moving parts. Again, take the same example of the car. The car stops because you push on a brake pedal, which pushes out the brake fluid to the calipers, which causes the calipers to clamp down on the rotors and brings the car to a halt. So what happens when you push the brake pedal down and car doesn't stop? Well, it depends. A brake pedal that goes to the floor with no pressure typically indicates there's a hole or bad part somewhere in the braking system. So one would want to check the calipers and the brake lines to make sure nothing is damaged. The effect is that cars' brakes are bad, but the cause may be that the brake line is rusted out and needs replacing. Detail oriented person often excel at troubleshooting and working backward through a system like this. Those systems may be mechanical like a car or social like a low morale in the workplace. 6. They tend to get lost or overwhelmed in the details. One bad thing about being detail oriented is that they may feel themselves getting lost or overwhelmed in all of the details that make that thing. Most things in life have many moving parts. More the moving parts you are aware of, more difficult it can be to sort them out to find what you are actually looking for. Overthinking can be a significant problem if the detail oriented person does not make an effort to curb runaway thought processes. Overthinking details can easily kill friendships and relationships. A detail oriented person may try to interpret every nuance of the people around them and think that they are not being direct in their words. They may find ulterior motives or hidden meanings when there are none. People generally don't have a patience for that. 7. They tend to be micromanagers. Micromanagement ties heavily with perfectionism. The problem is that if a detail oriented person is perfectionist, their presence can have drastically negative effect on the quality of work of those around him. They may have a hard time letting the subordinates or equals do their duties in a way that makes sense for them. That can be a good thing, maybe a bad thing, depending on the circumstances. When is it good? In situations where details are absolutely vital to the safety and effective functioning of a thing. Let's say if your partner is working with chemicals, you don't really want them to be lax in paying attention to the details of the safety equipment and materials they're handling. Otherwise, someone could get badly hurt. You also wouldn't want your attorney or accountant to be too lax with the details of their jobs. Detail oriented people need to be careful of how much of their precision they offload onto others. They must be able to extend trust to their family, friends, co workers, or team members. Otherwise, they may experience resentment malicious compliance, or receive the bare minimum effort. Because what's the point of doing a good job if your boss is just going to tell you that you did it wrong and you need to do it their way? 8. They may have high functioning anxiety. People with anxiety may try to exert as much control as they can over many facets of their life because it helps them feel safe, secure, and less anxious. As a result, they tend to hone in on the details because the details are where the causes of many problems are going to emerge from. This is often not a good thing because it generally causes other people to pull away. In general, people don't want to be controlled or micromanaged. Now, the final words. Attention to details is generally good trait that is worth developing, but one must pay attention to how they are applying it to the people around them, lest they find themselves alienated or overwhelmed.
For more videos, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon to get notifications of new uploaded videos. Also, please share your comments.